My peoples. It's your main man from Her Shine on Dr. Life Mark. Her Shine on Dr. Life Mark is your one-stop shop to have abundant life. One-stop shop. Her Shine on Dr. Life. Whatever it is you want to cop, we got it. No more Walmart, no more Target, no more Amazon. Her Shine on Dr. Life Mark. Her Shine on Dr. Life Mark. So, we're here to talk about cryptocurrency. We're here to talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin investment, Ethereum investment. What is cryptocurrency? In regards to Her Shine on Dr. Life Mark, and in regards to the financial crisis that's going on right now, the turmoil in the world economy with the man-made sickness that they unleashed on the world in 2019 and 2020. So while the general public, first of all, the individuals who are in the top 1% financially, economically, they've studied the masses. They studied you financially for years. And in 2016, 2016, somewhere around there, Goldman Sachs, one of the largest banks on Wall Street, studied our children and their spending habits. So right after a financial crisis where they got bailed out, and the people in the United States of America, the wealth gap got wider between those who are rich and those who are poor. Then Goldman Sachs, on behalf of the banks of Wall Street, come out and study the millennial generation's spending habits. And in their finding in 2015, they said this generation will be the first generation that will be poorer than their parents. This is for the first time. They won't own anything. It will be a sharing economy. That's chattel slavery again. That's code word for indentured servitude. You own nothing. You share. The outhouse, Goldman Sachs in the United States of America in the U.S. felt comfortable telling you now that we have gotten enriched, because the Federal Reserve just prints money and gives money to the Wall Street bankers, just billions of dollars here. Did any of you individuals who claim you're citizens of the United States of America, did you get any bailout or any relief between 2008 and 2016? No. So when this crashes again, this time they said, we're not going to go back to the banks. We're not going to go back to the banks and ask for a bailout. They took their billions in 2016 and they put billions of dollars in 2016 in a new digital economy Wall Street was their first digital economy. New digital economy called blockchain. Bitcoin is the gold of blockchain. Bitcoin is like IBM, or they got blue chip stocks on the stock market. Blue chip stocks mean these are stocks that been around for forever. IBM, deep, they call them blue chip stocks. They like the pillars. S&P 500 blue chip stocks. Bitcoin is like that. So what are they doing? They're creating a new Wall Street. They're creating a new digital Wall Street. They got bailouts in 2016, all of the bankers, all of their business people. Then they went to this new economy and they dumped. It is $2 trillion from 20 from let's say 2016 to now. It was less than 500 million in 2016 before they got their payout. Now the cryptocurrency market has over $2 trillion invested in it. Once again, 95% of you regular people don't invest. So this is that 1%. We've done the numbers. So it's 2,755 billionaires in the world. 2,755 billionaires in the world. And like 700 of them, I believe it says 700 of them, are in the US. So let's just take the 2,755 billionaires. That's in the world. There's 7 billion people in the world. And less than 3,000 billionaires have created a brand new investment place. It's called an emerging market. So whenever hard financial times come, what the wealthy do is, when the economy crashes, they purchase everything on credit, other people's money. Because they're going to get the money at low interest rates. They already have assets. They already have seasoned accounts. What a seasoned account means is accounts that have $500,000, $1 million in it for over 90 days. $50,000, $150,000, $200,000. So when they go to the bank, if they got over $50,000 in an account that has been in the account for over 90 days, that's called seasoned. When they come in here and they say, yo, I need to borrow 30 million. They're like, okay, you need 10%. You need to show you got access to 10% of that. Okay, I got $30,000. They ain't even got to touch the $30,000. The bank say, okay, here go the 30 million. Then they're going to take that 30 million. They're going to buy 30 apartment complexes. Or let's say they're going to put, I don't know. Let's say they're going to buy 10. Let's say they buy 3 and they put 10 million in each. I'm talking about apartment complexes that somebody else already own and got tenants in it or whatever. They just got to come in. People want out of the joint. They just got to come in and rehab the thing. This is what they do when the economy crashes. They take out loans. They buy up apartment complexes on credit. There's people already living in them. They gonna pay their thing. They gonna come in. They gonna paint the thing. They gonna do some paint. They gonna do some landscaping. They gonna put the 30 million into changing the name of the place. Do some landscaping, paint. Do some touching up. Go inside. They gonna redo some apartments. They might change the islands and the kitchens or whatever. Boom, 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 boom. Now the residents got a little upgrade. They done spent the 30 million and they got 3 apartment complexes, 900 people living in each other in all total 3 of the different complexes, 300 people in each complex. You do the math. They pay off that little $30 million in a year and a half, 2 years. And then over the next 8 years, it's all profit. Every dime that come out of the joint, it's all profit for the next 8 years. And so while the economy is coming back up from the crash, now those apartment complexes, they're getting what? Equity. So it costs them 30 million to buy it and fix it up. By the time the next thing, they worth 150 million. 3 apartment complexes. They could sit on it and keep collecting the rents. They could pop it off to somebody else for a profit and then go and buy 20 apartment complexes and do it all over again in the next crash. They purchase on credit. They buy on credit. They go to emerging markets and they put their money and they invest in emerging markets when the economy is down, because the economy is rigged to always crash and then go up, crash and go up every 10 years, 8 years, 9 years. So your problem is, until now, nobody has said, my people gonna be not only at the table, my people gonna dominate. 2015, 2016, when we saw, listen, you gotta understand. Their generation, this is my mother and father. Their generation, they don't know nothing about investing. All their parents knew how to tell them to do was go to school, get an education, work. Their generation. But one thing my mother and father both told me is, don't let nobody take nothing from you. Somebody takes something from you, somebody physically takes something from you, you physically make them pay. So, one thing about me is, if I'm obedient, you can't tell me one thing and then do another. If I'm obedient, if you say this is the principles by which we live by, oh, you got to live by it too, baby. You don't get to tell me when individuals steal my football and I run home and then you make me go down there and fight. Say either you fight them or you fight me, but you gonna fight somebody because you don't let nobody take nothing from you. Pops, understand, you can't tell me them principles and then let white folks financially. Take food out of your wife's mouth, your wife's mouth, your kid's mouth. You can't teach me that. And let a General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists and let an Allegheny East Conference financially take food out of your mouth. You can't teach me that. I'm not one of them kids, because I know what the Word of God say. The Word of God say the sons will fight the fathers. Mothers will turn against children. Children against their parents. God is describing a time where family members who said one thing bowed down and sold out when the Babylonians played the music, when the Babylonians unified church and state. God is giving permission in the Word of God to fight against anyone in the family, outside the family. When it's all said and done, when they want to take everlasting gospel from you, when they want to take breath of life from you, when they want to take your spot in the kingdom from you by trying to force you, by trying to deceive you. Be not deceived. So what does this mean? When they try and tell you 3/5 of a human being and you a chattel slave and you've been a slave all your time, and then you in the same country, got access to the same pools of wealth? It's called the hedge fund. So how do you have your cake and eat it too? You see this? Do you see this? All of y'all have to understand that what Goldman Sachs has said, Goldman Sachs has said that they are rigging the system against these babies. They said they will be poorer. For the first time in history, they said in the United States of America, the United States of America financially will be like India. If now that you're in poverty because of the crash in 2008, they are saying, Goldman Sachs is saying, on purpose, they are going to make sure that there is no more upper mobility. If your parents was middle class or poor, your kids, you gonna be poorer. This is what the banking system of the United States that got bailed out. They didn't do anything to be the billionaire banks that they are. All of the banks on Wall Street, if you go back to their founding, they're all European individuals that got handouts. They're welfare queens. Chase, Goldman Sachs, you go back to the beginning, Wells Fargo, they all participated in the slave trade in the 1800s and the 1900s in the United States of America, and they built their wealth off the back of chattel slave. That is a divine violation. So to individuals, the grandparents of the Generation X, so this is the baby boomer generation. I'm Generation X. My kids are the millennial generation. The baby boomer generation allowed Europeans in the United States of America, after slavery and after World War II, to give handouts directly from the government, directly to Europeans only. They artificially manufactured with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Southern Democratic, racist, Confederate flag flying Southern Democrat, Dutch, incest, marrying his cousin, nasty, nasty, abomination. Eleanor Roosevelt and Franklin Delano Roosevelt is cousins. That, yeah. From the same Dutch family that enslaved individuals in New York. We're talking about Wall Street. It was called New Amsterdam before they called it New York. So the Dutch created the Wall Street slave trade. Then the British came and took it from the Dutch and called it New York Wall Street. It was a slave market, and the same families that enslaved people and sold people on auction blocks during slavery, the Dutch, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, got into office and financially, after so-called Emancipation Proclamation, this is in the 1930s. They gave land grants to the European males that fought in World War I and World War II. They gave nothing to the people of color who fought in the same war. My grandfather was one of those. Once again, you're supposed to let nobody take nothing from you, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt took everything. You know what my grandfather did? He lived in the projects. Fraser Homes. He raised my dad in Fraser Homes projects. He worked at General Motors. Then he invested his way out of the hood. He invested his way out of the hood. And I'm telling you right now, our generation, we not letting nothing slide. That baby boomers, we doing just like my grandfather's generation. So we went out. Cash flow is king. This is billionaire Robert Kiyosaki. We created investment cash flow clubs around an investment group called Michael's Angel Investors. Michael's Angels Investors. So let me teach y'all something. It's called a hedge fund. A hedge fund allows you to put financial insurance on your investment. Hedge fund. This is how they crashed your economy. Because they make, in the public eye, they make an investment, right? But then in secret, they have these secret things called derivatives. It's the Wall Street casino. You know how you go to the casino, you can go to the high rollers table. And the derivatives was in-house, unregulated, secret insurance where they could bet against the investment. So if the original investment that they made, say they invested in Tesla, $1 million. If Tesla went up, they get paid. They go out and they take $2 million insurance against Tesla, saying Tesla's going to fail. So no matter which way it go, they make money. Then they so rigged the derivatives market, they made it to where they was getting 20, 30, 40, 50%, and you barely getting 15% out of that. So they made it to where it was more profitable if the stock market crashed. By all of them going and betting against Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, these are the mortgages that back your homes. So when the banks is writing your homes, you coming and you taking out loans and they betting that you're going to default. And then they coming in the public eye and they're investing in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac so that the bankers would sell more loans and they make more money if they default. So why was the 2008 crisis so bad? Because they were hedging their bets and they got paid more if it crashed than it did if y'all paid y'all notes. And sure enough, it crashed and then they got paid for crashing the economy. That's a crime. That's fraud. If we did that, if I did that in business, if I went out here in the street and I did that, and they would lock me up, they would call it a white collar crime. They would call it embezzlement. And not one person. Do you know how many people lost their homes? Do you know how many people are out on the streets? Do you know how many people committed suicide? Do you know how many people are drug addicts? Do you know how many lives were destroyed and they got paid? And now they're going to come back and they're going to say, the next time when we do it, for the first time, these millennials, they're going to go back to the plantations. I got the article. So, they have people like this. This is a predator. These are predators. These are financial predators. What a financial predator is somebody who makes you believe that they're giving you information to financially help you win. When they're really a snake oil salesman, and what they're selling you, they know will never ever fix the problem. This dude sells budgets. How to budget and fit to where you can get out of debt over a certain amount of time. If you got somebody who's rigging the system against your children to make sure that your children will be poorer, what is a budget going to do? The only thing that's going to set you free is abundant life wealth. I know the plan that I have for you, a plan to prosper you, give you hope in the future. Huh? Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper, be in health, even as your soul prospers. I came that you might have life and have it abundantly, not a budget. I came that you might and he does this from the Bible. This is what white Christians do. Once again, Father, you said we don't let nobody come and take something from us. This man has built a $65 million empire selling people lies, bogus lies off the word of God. The word of God does not teach. You know what the word of God says? He can't have a dime. He got everything that he got to sell it all and give it to, and the reason that our people is impoverished is because y'all won't stand on the word of God and force them when they have received the gospel that came from us. They don't get to go into the word of God that we've taken all over the world. The Apostle Paul said, you owe it to the poor in Jerusalem. If you share in their spiritual blessing, you owe them financial everything. Rich young ruler, give up everything you got and give it to the poor. You know who the rich young ruler in your black circles? Russell Simmons, Def Jam, Puff Daddy, Jay-Z. Dollar bills. They want you to celebrate a person of color that's in the 1%. Why? We the kings that done built the world. Why would I celebrate somebody else other than myself? When he said, I will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth and feed you with the heritage of Jacob, thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. Why should I sit back and celebrate a clown, buffoon? Pick any of your black entertainers, any of your black leaders, clown buffoons. Why would I celebrate anybody else when he said, what the wicked, though they lay up wealth like clothes, the righteous will wear it all. Though they store up wealth like garments, the righteous, though the wicked store up wealth like garments. All right, so all today, we have something called the Havila coins. The Havila coins. We have something called the USA Forex. It's the divine money exchange. The distant shore. Out of the reach of them. And I'm going to show you how these individuals with their digital economies, it's not backed by anything. 1971, they took you off the gold standard. So in order to make you believe that they had economies, they claimed that they opened up a thing called Fort Knox, and they, after doing the gold rush, they came here to our lands. They went to California. We had access to California too. We was pulling gold out of the ground before they even came to the lands. So from the 1900s to 1971, for 70 years, they like, oh, I think we done got so far ahead, and we don't want them to set themselves free with real wealth. So we're going to take the US dollar and attach it to worthless oil. And just because they stated that oil is valuable, and they say the US dollar is calculated in oil, barrels of oil, that means that their economy is worthless. That's why they created the new blockchain technology. Because the US dollar has been a fake scam since 1971. And the only reason that the Europeans did it was because those of us who were here before they brought their European black indentured slaves from England, Germany, Scotland. The slave trade was European slaves primarily. In the United States of America, the British, the Dutch, the German sailed here with boats and boats filled with indentured black Europeans. The blackamoors built Europe. Treaty of Tordesillas. The Pope says, okay, we're going to whitewash Europe like we whitewashed Egypt. It's called Hellenism. When the Greeks put Alexandria in Egypt, they whitewashed Egypt and they said Egypt was a European. Egypt you can't never get European out of Egypt. You can't never get European in the lands that they call Europe. And then in 1497, they said, we're going to do up here, because we done used all of the Egyptians to teach us how to build castles and cathedrals and schools. And now we're going to tell them same Philistine Egyptians, go down into Africa, because we want to do a slave trade that can help us get across the water and go and take these lands. So we hear is crazy gold and all of that. And so the black Egyptians went down into South Africa as Portuguese. They went down into Africa as Portuguese. They came up into Europe as Egyptians from northern Sudan, right on the Nile River. They came into Europe in 711, and then in 1497, they went back down as Portuguese. Same dark skin, same whatever. Only thing they did is change their language, change their dress, and lied and said they subservient to Spain. The Pope elevated Spain in the west and demoted Portuguese to the east and Brazil. That's their first Wall Street. Their first Wall Street slave trade. Treaty of Tordesillas, Spain and Portugal. On behalf of the Pope. First slave trade. They said, no more are we going to do crusades over here. We going to take the crusades to the west. That's all they said. They said Spain will be the Catholic arm of the crusades in the west, and the Portuguese will be the Muslim arm, the Moors. The same crusades that they did in Jerusalem and all of that, they came across the waters. And why was the Pope involved? Tithe and offering. We talking about cryptocurrency. Tithe and offering. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. So that's a fake economy too. So we created, like I told you, because we already had our economy here. We already had our coins. We already had our gold. So what we able to do is, when we keep our standalone economy, it's called the bedrock chain, the USA Forex. So now you got an opportunity to convert your US dollars into hollow coins. And you get a chance to follow these kings. These kings who have given us blueprint after blueprint. So if you could have invested in the PC industry in the 1980s, if you could have been in a position to invest in Apple and Yahoo and Google in the 1980s, we got a crew of them who did invest in the 80s and are multimillionaires right now. If in the mid 80s you could have invested in the cellular phone that gave you T-Mobile and AT&T, we have a crew of them. We have a crew of them. If you could have invested in the internet in the 1990s. Once again, we created HoloCoin to bring the economy that we've been investing in, because they're planning to attack our children's financial future like they attacked our grandparents. And we have said in Generation X, we have said Our parents taught us don't let nobody take nothing from us. That includes our kids' financial future. Internet, voice over IP, digital apps. We got a crew of individuals that we've organized into cash flow clubs. And we've digitized our coins, and we're in their blockchain technology cryptocurrency market, and we're in our separate hollow coins market. And we're going to show you how to convert your cash and invest in a cryptocurrency market while it's still up. Listen, everything that they do, they got an exit strategy for it. They're going to crash it. They're going to rig it so only the wealthy can get paid off of it and poor. So while the window is open, we are investing in it and extracting the wealth to invest in true tangible cash flow, true tangible assets for our children's generation, so that when they try and rig the system against them financially, they will already have their wealth for them and their children's children. That's freedom. So you got 90 days. You got less than 90 days. We're 22 days into a 90 day. You got 90 days in to get paired up in the cash flow club with your millionaire mentor and your billionaire mentor. Since the 90s, I've been training with Robert Kiyosaki directly in this educational program and giving it directly to my kids since the 90s and training all of the kids in their generation financially. We have a financial school. The hollow coins is the financial school attached. The greatest thing about us is ours ain't digital. Let me show you where the real wealth, how we extract wealth from their digital blockchain technology and quadruple it in ours. They have something called the NFT. We are the only people who created hip hop, so we don't have to go digital. But all we're doing is we're taking their concept. What an NFT does is they're taking their old art that you, for instance, we dropped our first album in 1990, like 94, 95. This work of art is more priceless than the Mona Lisa. And then when we convert this into the digital equivalent so that we can email it and post it on websites, when you take priceless piece of art, Rob Wells, and Rob Wells, your family, you will never, ever, ever, ever have to work a day in your life. They have an individual who took some trash and they paid him $69 million to convert and create this digital piece of art. It is trash. 69 million. Okay. So when we take priceless pieces of works of art and we convert them, and we don't do this in the public. Listen, our community, Hollow Coins, is exclusive to our family. You know who you are if you in our family. You know who I'm talking to. Unlike them.